This episode of Storycomic Presents is sponsored by JanusPointPress.com. Watch out for wormholes. Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 326. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the internationally recognized and award-winning writer of comics, novels, and game books, Simon Birks of Blue Fox Comics.
Oh,
Simon, how you
doing? Internationally acclaimed. I like that.
You're here to talk about, you just had your latest series of books called Antarctica, your new comic series coming out. And you've had, how many issues are available so far for that?
Right now, there's 4 issues available. Number 5 hits the shelves next Wednesday. And that's the end of the first arc for Antarctica. In fact, you can't even say Antarctica without saying arc, I've just realised. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And then arc 2 starts in December. So really, the FOC, the final order cutoff for issue 6 is Monday. So it's worth getting that out there if anyone wants to, potter along to their local comic shop or their local online comic shop and reserve issue 6, which is the beginning of a new arc and sort of throws us back in time with the characters that we have, and it's a good time to jump in.
Right, and so I mean, this isn't your first series of comics. You've done graphic novels and as we say in comics and in game books for a lot of years. And how many of those are through your press, Blue Fox Comics, and how many of those are also from other companies?
Mainly, really, Antarctica is my breakthrough into sort of non-Blue Fox sort of comic, getting it in every Wednesday, sort of in a comic shop. So the higher, I don't know what term would be, but it's because it's published by Top Cow and / Image. But this is the first one. Hopefully of many, but who knows? The fun thing is that having one is a dream come true, and more than I could have hoped for. So it's, and for Blue Fox wise, which is again a sort of a small indie publisher that I run in the UK. On the screen now, we have lots of different titles. We set up Blue Fox in 2015. To publish my stories. Initially, it was just my stories, and then as we carried on, as we lived, other people submitted to us, other artists that we used came in. Lyndon White, who we'll mention later on because he's involved with Antarctica. He had a couple of books that he was interested in Blue Fox publishing, and so we started doing that, and in fact it is a surprising and very gratifying part of the business is being able to send those emails to people when they submit, and if you like, if it fits in with Blue Fox and if we have the space to be able to say yes, we'll publish those works. In fact, on the screen now, The Mountains of Madness there you see, which is a Lovecraft adaptation by a chap called Adam Fider, who's based in Poland, and he submitted that to us, in fact, in 2019. And as soon as I saw it, it was just a lovely book, and I knew it was going to do well. I knew there was a big Lovecraft following on Kickstarter, and so yes, very happy, and we did really well with that. In fact, that Kickstarter was happening when lockdowns were coming into effect, basically in 2020, when COVID was really making its mark. Then yes, but it also allowed us, because it did do so well. It sort of flicked a switch in my brain, thinking, okay, maybe this can be something that I can do full time.
Right.
because again I was doing IT, and I did IT up until November 2020. So yeah, it was it's really good, and we Blue Fox basically run a Kickstarter every month now. So,
Wow.
and this is yeah. I used to actually have hair with color, but it's but yeah. So I run that now. I run one of those now, and in fact, one just finished today for a game book. So yeah, and it's amazing. We have lots of positive feedback. It's lovely going to Comic Cons and having backers come up and either just say, "Hi, I back your books, and I've got this one and this one, and what haven't I got?" And so it's kind of a lovely interaction that we've built over the last 8 years or so. So
And so are all your series, are they in like a shared universe, or are they all individual stories that are I mean, obviously you have your Lovecraftian stuff as well in your game
yeah,
books.
they're Lovecraftian. So a lot of the Lovecraftian, so it's slightly revisionist, so we say, for the Lovecraftian adaptations. Um, that we kind of do have a kind of a universe. It's mainly started when we had our hexes books. Hexes are some like psychological horror, 4 stories that written by me but drawn by different artists each one. So we sort of we've got a volume 1 and volume 2 and volume 3 currently in progress. But but the first series that we did was one called Sinners. Again, written by me. That is in the same universe, and in fact, I've got one of my novels is based in the same universe. A horror novel called Songstrom, which is based in the same universe, and also there are bits of it. It creeps in everywhere, So that is the kind of thing that one of the game books, the first one I did, which was Arcane. It's a fantasy dungeon crawl called Arcane Rites, and that's part of that. There are little bits of the hexes and the how the hexes universe works kind of do creep into that. So it is always in the back of my mind that I'm building this larger thing, but it's not. I can't. It's not. If it all falls down, that's okay too. So it's just something which it makes me smile whenever I fit a reference into.
So talk to us a little bit about Antarctica now. So I mean, as you
Yeah.
said, as it recently became an ongoing series with
Mm,
Top Cow,
yeah.
and that was basically recent, like that was back in August, right? That was announced that it was
That's
going to be
right.
an ongoing series.
Yeah, the issue 1 came out in July. I was Top Cow said, "Would I like to come over to San Diego? I hadn't been before for the Comic Con." And I was just very, very fortunate to go over there. And initially, it was going to be this 5-issue mini series, and then as we were out there, they sort of said, you know, and I think we sort of had discussions, and I'm not a very subtle person at times, and I think I probably said to them, I've actually written like 3.5 of it doesn't have to continue, but I have written 3.5 more of them, and it's just a thing which does keep going in my brain, and maybe that helped persuade them, but they sort of said. The next day I came in to do the signing at the booth. They said, "Well, yes, we'd kind of like to have an arc 2," and then they sort of changed the words not just to an arc 2, but to an ongoing series. Obviously, we live in a society driven by sales, so as long as we keep, as long as we can keep selling the comic, it will keep going. It's good. I've got to say, with the whole series, I do have a sort of an ending. It is written down, roughly planned, sort of. But the rest of it, how I get to that ending, could be 10 issues, 30, 50 issues long. So we will see. But yeah, so it's really been amazing, and people at Top Cow have been fantastic. Even though obviously I've published my own comics, so to a degree I kind of done a lot of I know to a level how to produce comics, but obviously they are the next tier, and if not another 3 tiers, above me, and so just being, indoctrinated doesn't sound right, but that sort of thing, just being brought in and seeing how they work and just how very obviously professional they are and how they get things done is is kind of mind blowing and awe inspiring at the same time. So
I love the tagline. They say it's a cross between His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman and also a Stargate. Is that?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the storyline then?
The storyline was or is there's a girl called Hannah Curtis whose father works in Antarctica, and when she's growing up, and obviously she always she looks forward to him coming home, but just one day he doesn't come home, and he just he's not there anymore, and she doesn't know why, and she sort of it kind of really affects her, and to a degree where she kind of just rebels against everything, becomes homeless, but is then helped back on. Is helped by a friend, who then unfortunately passes away suddenly. So that she just poor Hannah sort of has time and time again. She sort of has this tragedy in her life, but she says, "Okay, I'm gonna." I'm going to train. I'm going to. So I can't see my friend anymore, but I can. I don't know what happened to my father. I can go out and I can try and find out what happened to him. She kind of gives herself a purpose and really focuses on that, and finds out who he used to work for. Basically, becomes a useful member, a useful person to them by training as an engineer. And just really being, very laser focused in getting out there, and she manages to do that. But as soon as she gets out there, that's when the sci-fi stuff starts happening. Basically, blinding flash of light, another Antarctica base similar to the one she's at, certainly called the same, appears out of nowhere, and as she goes out to investigate, a second Hannah Curtis emerges from this base and kind of says, "We need to talk about father." So, and that's kind of the premise. I mean, and it's obviously a sci-fi. It's a mystery. It's a thriller. It's just pretty damn exciting if you ask me. But then I am biased. It's really good, and it sort of, but it has a collection. She has a group of people because it's kind of quite a skeleton crew at the Antarctic base. And so it's a case of sort of they get together, they sort of form their little team, and sort of by the end of issue 2, they realize just how much kind of trouble they're in, and realize they have to. It's not, they just can't. Even if they were to get out of Antarctica, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So they have to. They're kind of backed into a corner, and they have to fight. So it's kind of that sort of story. It's a story of people coming together, disparate people, and just and kind of almost acting minute by minute, faced with these quite surreal circumstances they find themselves in. But we also find out as well on the other base that the other Hannah, called Dr. Curtis because she's a doctor. So there's Hannah who's an engineer, Hannah who's a doctor. We start finding out stuff about them as well. And there's flashbacks, so we learn a little bit more about Hannah's father, Jerome, and it's just it's a lot of fun to write. Mystery and cliffhangers and all that sort of stuff. It's as fun as you imagine it to be.
Watch out for wormholes, because a good book is a wormhole, whether it's paper or pixels. Explore our artist books and chapbooks, including the winning 2022 Chautauqua Janus Prize Lecture at januspointpress.com. And sign up for news of our upcoming sci-fi, sensual, and literary collection, Event Horizon. This short story collection on cosmic decisions and their impact is written by award-winning author Stephanie Nina Pizzarillos and features comics, prose, photography, and original canvas work by an array of exciting artists. Visit januspointpress.com. when did you start writing this script as compared to when you first started getting issue number 1 published?
The initial 6-page, so Antarctica appeared in a book from Top Cow Image called Stairway Anthology, which was really a lot of the stories in there came from a Kickstarter tier. So they Top Cow had gone to a Kickstarter. One of their, they had a tier for $1,000. I was very fortunate enough to obviously be. I was using Kickstarter quite a lot even back then, quite a while ago. Say 2016, 2017. I saw it. I knew what a deal that was. Just to be able to have this book, and even just it was just great. So I happened to have the money. I was very fortunate to have the money, so I backed it. And I got to obviously there was a roundtable in LA mainly for the US based backers really, but I thought I'm just not going to miss out on that. I know a good thing when I see it, so we sort of Marielle, my wife, and I sort of planned a whole kind of holiday around this thing. So we flew out to LA and sort of saw the sights and had the meeting there, which was really nice. Kind of came up with the idea for the 6 pages set in Antarctica. Again, I can't tell you what the initial thought was or the idea when that came, but I know I like quite. I like stories which are set in one place, which are kind of restricted in that way. So, and obviously, we all like The Thing, so that's fine. So that's going to be played into it as well. And just sci-fi. I mean, I'm just a big sci-fi fan. So yeah, had that idea. They liked the idea, and there was really probably a couple of years whilst that everything got together and we pulled in, the artists and got those 6 pages made, and everybody else got their pages made. And I think Antarctica was one of the stories that they liked and they were interested in, and the interaction that they had with me, that was as frictionless as possible. I think probably. Again, probably helped by the fact that I run Blue Fox Comics, so I've got an understanding of sort of how parts of it work. So yeah, and it kind of that conversation was, do you want to pitch something longer for this? And I said, yeah, of course I do, and I did, and that's kind of, and it came about, and they said yes, that's good, and those 6 pages which were in the anthology basically became the last 6 pages of issue 1, and I had to dream up the first 16 pages. But it's not a tough deal. It's lovely just to be able to sit there and create such a story, and it's been a lovely process as well. Woody came on board, really. Woody Roberts, who does the sequentials for Antarctica. So he came on board at the time when they said yes, that go for it. And I'd worked with him before at Blue Fox, so we've done a couple of series together. We've done one called Cloda, which is a dark fantasy, and he does the drawings for our game books as well, Choose Your Own Adventure books, and other stuff. So we had a good setup. We know, he puts up with me, and I'm just very thankful for him. So that's really nice. And the letterer as well, Lyndon White, he's done a lot of work for Blue Fox, a lot of lettering, a lot of the graphic design as well. But also, he's a fantastic artist. So I asked him to do the lettering, so really, it was just such a lovely experience being able to take 2 people that I knew very well and bring them with me on Antarctica, and we already have this working relationship as well. So I think it really helps.
How has your writing or your creation adjusted or changed compared to creating work for your own imprint as compared to a larger publisher?
There are lots more deadlines now. when it's my stuff, I think, yeah, I'll get to that. That's fine. I've written issue 1 now. That's great. So there's that, and now it's it's a monthly comic. So I'm dreaming up people's memories every month now, so they can so in that way it's more intense. I have a lot more emails, which is lovely, because we're talking about covers and variant covers and just getting all the solicit text out there, and I'm just learning, so that's really nice. So it's kind of a rocket, and it's sort of really working, and it's doing it. But obviously, it's such a nice way of being. Not saying that, I'm still, for Blue Fox, still writing. Yeah, I've written number one. I think I've started adapting, the Dickens Signalman story, in selling it and bringing it up to date, sort of thing, and. And I've done issue one of that, and I'm I'll park that. I'll come back to that later. So the Blue Fox stuff still just kind of trickles along. But saying that, we'll have like 20 projects sort of on the go at the moment. So I've got enough comics to go to Kickstarter for the next year and a half. So we're doing absolutely fine. I'm sort of I need to clone me. This is what I need. I need another Simon somewhere.
Have you ever gone back to looked at some of your earlier work, now that you've been working with Top Cow and Image Comics, to learn from some of your previous writing that you're utilizing, or vice versa?
I think at the moment I've not had time. I think it's absolutely the truth of it. I think yes. I think if I sat down and looked through the Hex's books, looked through Sinner's books, I would think I would see, maybe. The lovely thing is being human is that we learn all the time, we experience, and we grow. So yes, that will definitely be there. But by golly, I've not had time yet. I'm just gonna. At some point, I will do that. I will reminisce when I write my memoirs in a comic book form. I will I will look at that. But I just at the moment, there's not a lot of time. Well, I say obviously Christmas is coming up, so what do I say? I've got a whole month of holiday to dwell on my inadequacies. But
and so I'm really curious, because you have, like you say, you have a lot of titles, you have a lot of IPs. When it came to actually like promoting some of that stuff with Top Cow and Image, were you in the back of your head thinking, you like Antarctica? Do you want to look at some of this other stuff too? Or were you just pretty much agnostic on what title they were looking at?
I've always got the idea. I mean, the stuff that I've done for Blue Fox is sitting there, and I do look at it, and I think a lot of it is very publishable, I think, is the truth, and a lot of it I've done with Willie. So I mean, it's literally sort of the same team pretty much,
right,
as Antarctica. So yeah, I do. I would ideally love to. I mean, there's a book, and I've got it here because I'm packing for Top Cow. Like we did an adaptation of Thing on a Doorstep, and we got 3 parts to it, and Woody did the art to it, and it's beautiful and dark and weird and not, and it's as an adaptation. It's one of my favorite pieces of work that I've done. So yeah, I would love to take this, and now it's actually finished, and we've done all 3 parts, and it's not like a 100-page book. And kind of say to someone, yeah, look, I mean, and we've gone through Kickstarter, and obviously, so we've been able to pay for the costs and printing and stuff like that. But now it's a finished book. I mean, that to me would be fantastic for someone to look at and say, yeah, because there will be, there's an audience out there. Obviously, if no one else does pick it up, then the great thing is that we put it in, previews anyway. So when we collect it to trade, we put all our trades through Diamond, and so people can get access to them. But no, I think it's always in the back of my mind. I've got a lot of stuff here, a lot of different types of things. I mean, it's not just horror, it's not just sci-fi. There's also sort of, so they've got the dark fantasy for Clodagh, and there's another one. We've got Robin, which is a gender flip Robin Hood, where she's a young girl in Sherwood Forest, which is again a lot of people's favorite books. What we do. And yeah, I've got lots of things, and maybe one day people will want them, but I'm sure they will. Again, Blue Fox is kind of me and my wife, and that's what we do. And so finding the time to having that marketing skill, or just having any time to go out and chase this sort of, would you like to publish our book type thing,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't happen as much as it should, but we can't do everything. I'm not going to beat myself up to.
When you hear a story in your head, do you automatically decide this is going to be a good horror? I'm going to make it a horror, or I'm going to make it a sci-fi, or
Yeah.
are you agnostic with it? You just want to see what the characters tend to do first before you decide the genre.
I think it's a bit of both. I think there's a part where when the idea arrives, or when when you marry up those 2 or 3 ideas, I have like a whole Evernote full of those sort of midnight. Oh my God, what are we? Here's a line, or I overhear someone saying something, or I see something slightly visually weird, and you write it down, and then every now and again those they sort of come together, they converge and into an idea. And usually that idea probably gives you the genre, I would say. But saying that, it's all about subverting the genres as well. So it's a lot of fun. I don't think I consciously, if I have an idea, I think, I can make this. I think there's always something to that idea which gives me, which sort of kind of forces you down one path. Or
Right.
a path, but yeah, I think so. I think it's I think so. I think the first ones, with the Choose Your Own Adventure books, the first one, it took me so damn long. I mean, they came out. This first started coming out when I was 12, and that was a while ago now. And I tried to write them, and never had. I don't know, never had the process, never had the right process, and then I realised, or I was never at the right age. I've come a long way just in the last 12 years or so. I've really sort of, understood stuff. And I think sometimes it takes that long. It obviously does. And then it was only about 4 or 5 years ago when I realised that I could actually sort of visually map. If I visually mapped out the dungeon using Pathfinder tiles that I could pick up and throw around like frisbees, if I could see it, and then put little NPC tokens or monster tokens on there, then the story, the creative purpose, Simon inside could look at it and think, okay, well, what is the story to this? So I kind of almost built a dungeon plan, and then I thought, okay, got to have a story for this now. And the interesting thing as well with the first one is that a lot of the Choose Your Own Adventure books are second person based. They're you do this, you do that. And I was having trouble actually doing that. I was having trouble creating it with that sort of tense, really. And then, so I changed it to third person. So I made it a character, a woman warrior called Derillion who has to, And as soon as I sort of changed it to third person, just made it more of a novel, more of a story. Yeah, that clicked in with me, and and it went through.
Right.
So yeah, I think playing with ideas and finding out how best an idea works, it can be a tricky business. I mean, it's nice that I've had so long and I've written so many different types of things, and I'm not saying I've written them well, but I've written poetry, and I've written plays, and I've written films, and I've written novels, and to be able to it's really useful to be able to write in different types of medium to develop stories, and to when you hit a brick wall, to be able to go and just, okay, well, this I'm writing a screenplay, I don't know what the hell's going to happen next, let's write a little short story about this situation, so it goes a bit more behind the scenes, and that can really help, again, really help Simon's brain to understand and just tease out stuff which that I should take the time to do, but sometimes those characters talking run ahead, and again, when I write comics, it's very similar. You sort of, sometimes you're running a comic, and I'm not putting any panel descriptions in because it's just too interesting what they're saying, and so I just I'll make sure that the conversation is going. I think, okay, I'll go back later on. and another time you're writing a comic and the visuals are there, and you think, okay, I know what I want it to look like. We'll worry about what they're saying afterwards, and so you'll have that. So it's just so it's a myriad of things, and I wish I could say that there was a sense to it, but there is in a way. But
so Simon, if people want to learn more about your work or be able to get their hands onto Antarctica, where's the best place they could go to?
The great thing, Top Cow, you can go to their website, and so you can get and read Antarctica #1 from the Top Cow website. It's on the front page. So I would suggest everyone does that and see what you think. It's a very sort of, I want Antarctica to make people feel stuff. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I've read too many comics which are great stories and things, but I don't care about the characters. One of the things I wanted to make sure happens with Antarctica is that you really care about the characters. So have a look, have a read on there. And there you go. And and then obviously you can. We can go along. Your comic shop will more than likely have the past issues in. Say issue 5 comes out on Wednesday, so have a look there. You can also, obviously on the screen here. Sorry, my tag. You'll find me at S. Writer. You'll find me on sort of Instagram and other and good old X and Blue Sky, things like that. So you find out more. See, I'm posting stuff and trying not to annoy people too much about it. But yeah, and you can find out more about me and my process and stuff as well. But yeah, it's good. I'm biased, but I think it's quite an individual book. I think it's unlike a lot of things on the shelves today or at the moment. So it's definitely worth having a look. And see what you think.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, listen then, Simon. When you got another project coming, come back on. This has been great.
Good. That's great. Yeah, no problem at all. What we'll do, I mean, there'll be a couple of, I'm sure there'll be some stuff for Blue Fox, and we can talk more about Blue Fox and sort of how I befuddled my way through that. So
yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Simon.
My pleasure.
Is that your space heater's plugged in there? Is it pretty cold where you are right now?
Yeah.
Too?
Yes. But it is November, and we are in Scotland.